Hey guys, it is June 27th and we're out here on the Marsh unit doing some summer scouting. Now, I haven't actually hunted this particular public land ever, but I did come in here last winter and I did a pretty extensive scouting mission. And from that, combined with looking extensively at aerial photos, I feel like I have a pretty good general idea of how the deer use this area, and I feel like I know at least what most of the deer are doing in this area as far as where they're bedding, their travel routes, and where they're feeding. Now, from that scouting trip, I was also able to identify several sets of mature buck tracks. So today I'm coming in here and I'm going to be placing 2 trail cameras, and I'm going to be trying to monitor this huge public land marsh behind me. It's a really big area and I only have 2 trail cameras dedicated for this spot, but I think I'm going to be able to use my knowledge from the past scouting missions and from the aerial photos to put these trail cameras in the right 2 areas to be able to monitor and catch almost all the deer using this marsh. So anyway, I'm also going to be checking out all the fields that surround this marsh. The whole north side is basically surrounded by agricultural fields, and in this spot obviously the primary food source is going to be these fields. So it's going to be very beneficial to know what all these are planted in, so I know where the deer are feeding and whether or not I can come in here during late summer nights and do some velvet filming. So anyway, we're gonna get going now. I'm excited to go check this unit out. Alright, so I just got done hanging this first trail camera here, and I had to change the location just a little bit from what I had in mind, but it's still on the same travel routes and travel corridor as the other one would have been that these deer are using to get out in these ag fields here to feed at night. I wanted to place it back in a bean field, just a little bit tucked back farther into this marsh than this field is, but that field is just recently been planted, probably less than a week ago. It's just now sprouting up, and it was no surprise to find that there's not very many tracks in that field, and the trails going out into that field aren't being that heavily used because there's not any reason for them to be. So the closest thing to that that still connects the same travel routes would be this bean field here, and I was able to kind of walk the edge, look for tracks. They're really just walking back and forth along these edges here feeding, and I was able to find a really heavy trail that comes out into this field, and I think most of those deer are coming out pretty much at this point that I hung the trail camera over, where this trail enters this field, because I can see all these tracks in the field, and then I can walk in here a ways and see, you know, a bunch of tracks. This trail splits off several directions, so I know that it's really funneling a lot of the travel routes that these deer are using all down into one small spot here into the field where they're entering to start feeding. So I decided to hang the trail camera here, and I think this is really going to allow me to optimize the amount of deer that I catch on camera and don't miss when I'm covering this large area here. And one thing I wanted to talk about was how you can do the same just by really focusing in on the terrain features that dictate travel routes of deer. So you can use the same funnels and the same travel routes that you find for deer hunting for hanging your trail camera setups over. In this particular marsh, there's a giant oxbow lake that pretty much divides the whole marsh in half, and then it connects way far back into the marsh. And yeah, I think the most of the bedding is pretty deep in the marsh, and they can either come out to these ag fields on this whole front side here by going to the east or to the west of that oxbow lake, and you know, there's a lot of waterways back in there that dictate it even farther. But the main one that can really pinch these deer down in this particular area is that giant lake. So it makes more sense for them to go around it and come out in some of these corners than it does to, you know, basically swim across or wade across that lake in the middle there. And that's allowed me to pretty easily be able to try to monitor this area with just 2 trail cameras. So hopefully this trail camera will catch Mr. Big as he walks by and walks out of this marsh, and I can get some information on him so I can hunt him this fall. But now we're gonna go to the complete other side of this marsh, probably 3/4 of a mile to a mile away, and hang that next trail camera. So we'll get to it. My only friend out here is my shadow. I've been walking for 3 days. I'm just now getting sight of the finish line, which is that inside corner of that field edge there, where the hardwoods meet the marsh. So we're gonna go place a trail camera somewhere over there. Alright guys, finally made it over here and got that second trail camera hung, and I'm really excited about this camera set. You can tell just from the aerial photo that this is a high traffic area and should be an awesome set. You have that Oxbow Lake in the middle, and it kind of extends out almost all the way to that transition line where it goes from marsh to hardwood. So there's a transition line that meets the edge of this big bean field. It's in beans this year, which is awesome, because I'll be able to come in here and hopefully do some filming and waiting for deer to come out in the late night on this huge field here. But that transition line of the hardwoods and the marsh comes out and meets in this giant bean field, and then you have that Oxbow Lake that comes out and funnels them down into within 50 yards of that transition line. So it's a really pretty tight funnel, and it all comes out into this bean field right in this inside corner here. And walking up here confirms what I already pretty much knew. There's just insane amount of browse pressure, even on these beans that are only, 3 or 4 inches tall. They're just, pretty much all of them are nipped off pretty much at ground level. So there's definitely a lot of deer coming out in this corner, and now I have a trail camera to monitor it and see what caliber of deer are in this unit. So pretty excited about this set. And when I got over here, I was able to see fawn and mama, and that was really cool to see. I always love seeing those little babies. They're always so cute. But that was fun to see, and now we got this cam set. So that's gonna conclude this scouting mission. And next time I come down here, I'll probably check cams, and maybe I'll plan it to be able to sit some of these bean fields and watch for some big bucks. So until next time, I'll see you then.